Well, for more, let's speak to Juan Pablo Toro, Executive Director and co-founder of the Chilean think tank AthenaLab. Hello to you, Juan Pablo. Thank you for speaking to Paris Direct. First of all, if you can, just help us understand, what is Nicolas Maduro's relationship with drug cartels?
Well, thank you for the invitation to talk about this issue that is basically the main concern these days in Latin America. Well, there's an accusation from the US government against Nicolas Maduro to be part of the organization, but it's not very clear because Tren de Aragua as a gang started in a prison in Venezuela and then move around all the Americas. And now you can find members of the gang from Chile to the US, also across the continent. But also the US is accusing Maduro to be part of the Cartel de los Soles. Cartel de los Soles is a kind of narco trafficking platform integrated by the military of the Venezuelan army. So basically, for my point of view, the US is trying to put Maduro in the top of the illegal economy of Venezuela related to the drug trafficking and all the illegal activities. Nobody recognizes him as the leader of the Tren de Aragua. The Tren de Aragua have visible leaders as Niño Guerrero, Larry Changa.
So sorry, Juan Pablo, just to step in. If that is the case, why does the U.S. make this accusation? What are they trying to get at? What are they playing at?
Basically, to increase the pressure over the Maduro's regime to stop the flow of drugs that are going to the U.S. via using Venezuela airspace and Venezuela waters, because most of the cocaine is produced in Colombia. Then the Colombian cocaine crossed to Venezuela, and then they put the cocaine inside speedboats and planes. So the United States is trying to pressure Maduro with this big naval deployment around Venezuelan waters to stop the flow of drugs from Venezuela to the U.S. But they need to create a legal case, and that's the reason why, with crossing different information, are basically accusing Maduro to let all the situation goes on.
Right. And Maduro, for so long, he's accused the U.S. of interfering in domestic affairs. So you would think this would be playing into a sort of playbook, but Maduro now calling for dialogue with Trump. Why is he making that appeal? Is that because he is under such pressure?
Well, of course, the pressure created by the naval deployment and the strong message that the Trump administration gave the other day, destroying a speedboat loaded with drugs, basically is creating a situation to convince Maduro to stop the flow of drugs. And now he's open to dialogue because he knows that all the situation, he's under control, he controlled the country. So when you control a country as a dictatorship and you don't allow the opposition basically to win the elections or to be free and to organize protests, how you can explain to the rest of the world that you can't stop the drug trafficking inside your country because you are in control of your country. So now Maduro, I think he received the message, he's afraid, and he's open for some dialogues. But the Trump administration is waiting more than a conversation, because during the last 20 years, every time that when the Venezuelan government offers some kind of dialogue is a way to gain some time. So now the Trump administration expects, I think, direct compromise from Maduro administration to stop the flow of drugs.
Yeah, and just to remind our viewers, that speedboat attack you're talking about that happened on Tuesday, a deadly strike, 11 drug traffickers were killed, according to U.S. officials. Juan Pablo, just to get your reaction, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said about that attack that the administration knew exactly who was on board and exactly what they were doing. But since then, we've heard different narratives coming out of Washington. Marco Rubio said the speedboat was going to Trinidad. Trump said it was going to the U.S. The next day, Rubio changed his narrative. How concerning is it that the U.S. is carrying out deadly strikes in this part of the world, but can't even get its own version of events straight?
Well, first of all, this strike is a game changer. I mean, as a journalist, I had the opportunity to cover the drug war in Colombia, and I never remember, during years, I never remember something like that. This looks like more an anti-terrorist operation. Basically, they didn't stop the speedboat using the typical protocols that they are contained in the law of the seas. You need to communicate with the captain of the boat, and then trying to stop the boat and then capture the people. So they decided to attack the boat. So this is a game changer. These boats, as you see in the video, are very fast, but they don't have the capability or the autonomy to reach the U.S. So if they say these boats is going to the U.S., it's not very credible because the boat can't reach the U.S. from the coast of Venezuela. So it's probably the boat is going to reach on one of the islands in the Caribbean and then unload the cargo, and I don't know. But but it's very clear that the U.S. administration need to justify this kind of operation because it's unusual. It remember the war on terror more than the war on drugs. But of course, there are some concerns about the legal basis of the operation.
Right, on so many levels.
That is
Because
true.
first of all, the Trump administration, who's called some of these cartels terrorist organizations, but Congress hasn't authorized any armed conflict. We also don't know if the boat had the possibility to surrender, be intercepted instead of exploded. We don't know what the people on board would have done if they were offered that. And then the legal authority is unclear in terms of how they could carry out this deadly strike. So it opens up a whole can of beans at very tense times.
Yes, as you mentioned, there are many questions around the operation. But when the Trump administration decided to consider or declare cartels and gangs, criminal gangs, as terrorist organizations, basically is a way to use all the tools, including military tools, to attack these cartels and these gangs. So they move forward, or they move from maritime interdiction operations to basically destroy boats. And this is not very common. As you know, in the Caribbean basin, there's always the different countries, France, Netherlands, the British, everyone who's there is running anti-drugs operation, and they used to stop the boats and seize the drugs inside the boats and start the legal process against the crew and the traffickers. So with this naval deployment, Trump is basically using and showing the determination of the Trump administration to change the situation and here in Latin America in a way we didn't see from years. And I think the situation is going to be escalate a while. It's going to escalate soon because Trump is sending even planes to Puerto Rico. Yesterday, I think, or last Thursday, Venezuela sent 2 planes, 2 warplanes to overwatch the naval deployment. So it is a very risky maneuver. So I think in the coming days, we're seeing some kind of escalation. But at the end of the day, the main purpose is change the attitude of Maduro towards narco traffic.
Yeah, and escalation would just possibly bring international ramifications, as you alluded to. The end of the day, I just want to press you on that last point. There are some people who are speculating that one of the reasons the Trump administration is making this move to pressure Maduro is because he's a key ally to Iran, Venezuela providing fuel, financing, and so on. Do you think there's any credibility to that theory that Trump is squeezing Venezuela to get to Iran?
There's a connection between Venezuela and Iran. That is true. Some Venezuela received some equipment for Iran, missile boats that are now part of the coastal defense of Venezuela. Also, Iran sent some revolutionary guards to train people, to train part of the armed forces of Venezuela. So there's a connection. But I think the main purpose is stop the drug trafficking from Venezuela. If you see during the last month what are the priorities of the Trump administration towards Latin America are basically three priorities: stop the drug trafficking, stop the illegal immigration, and basically contain the influence of China in the Western Hemisphere. So in the case, I don't think the main purpose here is to start to break the link or punish Venezuela to be aligned with Iran in this case.
All right, Juan Pablo, thank you so much for your time. Juan Pablo Toro speaking to us from Santiago. Thank you.